Enjoy your meals. I'm having seconds. I mean,
welcome everybody. What a powerhouse room of Chicago real estate. So good to see you all. Thank you for coming. Thank you for braving the elements, being here on a rainy day. I'm sure there's lots of transactions going on, so I just commend you for taking 2 hours out of your day to grow your business, and that's what we're going to do here for you today. So first I wanted to start with our main sponsor. Christine Pokrant is with Goosehead Insurance. And Christine and I met 4 years ago now? 4 years ago. And I think how I try and run my business is to have a relationship-based business that's based off of solid advice. And I knew I loved Christine when she told one of my clients to go with another insurance agency on a deal, that this just wasn't in their wheelhouse and the person they checked with was better for their situation than she could offer. And that's just relationship based. She won me over then. She could have taken the deal, the client was going to go with her, but 9 times out of 10 they're the best we find for the situation. This one time they weren't, and she told the client that, and she won me over at that point. There's no other insurance agent that I recommend. There's no other insurance agent I would trust with your clients, with my clients. She is just the best of the best, relationship-based, great advisor. I love the woman she is. I love what she puts out there, the positive energy, the belief that it all starts with you guys, that we wouldn't be here without your clients, your referrals, your trust in us, and that's who Christine is. And she paid for all your food today and helped me get Kendra in, so I wanted to give her the floor a little bit to tell you about her insurance services and who she is. So give it up for Christine Pokrant.
Thanks, Chad, who's the cross-country team. Good morning still. My name is Christine. Chad told me to talk for as long as I want, but I know nobody is here to listen to me talk about insurance. So I will just say this. So, part of what Chad alluded to is my business is built, and I run my business to support yours, full stop. What you guys do, you are guiding the client from point A all the way through that purchase at point B, and you need a team, and they need their hands held. So my goal is, I see myself as part of your team, as part of Chad's team. Wherever that business is coming to me from, I step into the shoes and I'm representing what you do. And so if you are not referring insurance, if you're not referring parts of that buying transaction, I will tell you, you are leaving a card on the table. Insurance is not all made equally. There are cheap policies, there are policies that are okay, and then there's the right policy. Our goal is to find the right fit, and every client needs something different. So that's really how we engage with clients. My goal is to give back to my referral partners. That's why the minute Chad says, hey Christine, we're doing an event, I say whatever you need, right? This is a team. Even though I have my own business, you all have your own businesses. It's a very small community, and it's really all about helping those clients. So I will leave it there. The star, Kendra, she's gonna drop very good nuggets on you. But if I can be a resource to any of your businesses, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm absolutely more than happy to help however I can.
Cool. Thank you, Christine. So I think I have to start today just by thanking each and every one of you. We always want to add value to your business. We want to help you grow. We know if you grow, we grow with you. And it can't start without some gratitude for the last 2 years. The bravery of, what were we all thinking in March 2020? What are we going to do? How are we going to sell a home? How are we going to do a mortgage? What's going to happen of our business? Is this the next financial crisis? I got to be honest, that's what I was thinking in March of 2020. Didn't know what was going to happen. I always felt guilty in 2020 and 2021. I kind of felt like a coward, if I'm being honest with you. I got to sit behind my computer. I got to do some refinances on clients you had worked hard with. We got to just sit there, really not meeting clients face to face. We did not have to be the brave soldiers that you all were. You braved a pandemic. You managed clients' fears and emotions. you somehow turned the last 2 years on what could have been the downturn of our industry, the downturn of our city, the downturn of real estate as we know it, and you didn't just survive, you thrived. And I have to just give you a round of applause for everything you've done over the last 2 years. And thank you for your trust in my group, to your loan officer that invited you here, just for everything that you've done for us. We try and be that team that doesn't always have their hand out asking for a deal. We want to have our hand out and add value back to your business. And that's what today's all about. It's a thank you for everything you've done for us over the last 2 years. And there is no better person that I know than Kendra Cooke to come in here and teach you today. Kendra and her husband Greg have become 2 of our closest friends. They're like aunts and uncles to my family. There's nothing more I could say about being a professional, being a woman of God, being a great wife, being the best realtor coach I've ever seen, pouring into people. I think there are many people in this business that are just trying to collect a check. She truly cares about each talk. She truly cares about each person. She's in the core training with me. I'm a coach in the core. She's a coach in the core. She's become one of my near and dear friends, and you can probably tell I get a little choked up talking about her. That's how much she means to me. But she will help you today, add value to your business. There's no one that I see fit in more and be impactful in everything that she has going on in her life than Kendra. I truly believe she's the best, not only core realtor coach, best realtor coach in the country. She just, every time I see her, I'm in awe of the woman she is, the business she runs, and what she does for the core. The core for me personally, I'm going to give it a quick plug. I have quadrupled since I've been in it. It has changed my life. I went from being $330,000 in debt to giving that much back in charity last year. I don't say that to brag or impress you. I say it to impress upon you that it has changed my life. I just want to add value to your guys' business, to anyone that I've touched. And I'm no longer the selfish salesman that was just in it for myself. I truly want to give back to each and every one of you because you guys have given us so much. So when I was thinking about how to do that, it was to bring my girl Kendra in to teach for today. So she's going to drop a lot of knowledge. We'll be here for about a half hour afterwards. If you have some private questions, she will help you out with. So we'll be here till about 1:30. And without further ado, my girl, my friend, Kendra Cooke.
It's afternoon at my house, so I cannot talk holding a mic because I'm a girl from the South, and if I tie my hands, I can't talk anymore. So, can you guys hear me in the back okay? Okay, good. All right. So, good afternoon. Thank you so much for coming. Before we get started, I would be amiss if I didn't say thank you to Chad and Christine and Sam and Thomas and Adam and the rest of the crew with Chad who got me here. So let's give it up for these guys for the lunch. I always said I'm not cheap, and they paid, and my husband's here today, so I probably shouldn't say that. Sorry, honey. Just a little joke, a little humor. I am honored to have my husband here. I travel all the time, and he's never with me. He said he could do my time management talk because he's seen that a million times, and I think he can do this one, so you might learn something today, hon. Thank you for letting me do what I do. So really excited to be here today. We're going to talk about the crazy market that we're in, maybe. Thomas. Right, my handy guy, Thomas. Oh, we all want to go there, right? I don't know whose screensaver that is. But just like Chad said, we have come a long way in the last few years. And I was talking to this powerhouse table up front just a few minutes ago, and I said, you know, the incredible part about when we elevate each other, it's a win-win. And one of the biggest pet peeves I've had in my career, my entire career, which started in real estate when I was 18 years old, was that realtors are each other's colleagues and we're each other's advocates. We're not each other's adversaries. And I don't know where we got those wires crossed so early on that, you know, I can't support this person who's having a lunch and learn because, you know, they got a listing I want. That's so silly. If I've got a listing and you got a buyer and we both get paid and our buyers and sellers win, then everybody wins. So thank you guys for coming today, and hopefully I will have lots of good nuggets for you. But as Chad said, the market has been crazy for the last couple years. Is my little clicker not going to work on us now, Thomas? Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about how we got here. Okay. More importantly is we're here, but how do we get here? And hopefully some of these talking points will help you as you explain to your clients, how did we get here, right? So how many of you were in the market in 7, 8, and 9 during the crash? Raise your hands. So less than 10 of us in the room, okay? So the rest of you are saying, gosh, we just woke up. And yes, I feel old too, thank you. I'm gonna stand over here. Yeah, so, but how did we get here? And so if you did not understand how we got here, this will give you some talking points, because if you weren't in the market in 7, 8, and 9, you might have woke up a couple years ago and go, gosh, this market is crazy, and we just got here overnight. Well, the truth of the matter is we didn't get here overnight. So let's back up, okay? So 2007, 8, and 9, whether you were in real estate or not, depending on where you were in the country, you heard the bubble, the crash, the whatever they called it, wherever you were, whatever media outlet you were watching. And what really happened is not what's happening right now. In 7, 8, and 9, we had a lot of misconception in the mortgage side. If you could fog a mirror, you could get a loan, okay? And there were a lot of people that got in houses that probably shouldn't have been. I do have a little humor, so you can laugh and say that. We had a lot of people buying houses that shouldn't have, okay? And as the market started changing, people found themselves in trouble, okay? And so if you weren't in the market in those years, I can tell you personally what happened to me is I had all my eggs in one basket, and it was called new construction. And I'd made a lot of money for a lot of time working in real estate in the new construction home sales. And so I thought that would never stop. And so I can remember where I was when our biggest builder walked in and said, today's your last day, you need to move out of the model home, I'm taking the keys to the bank. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, I can't get any more money, I can't finish these houses, so I'm either gonna take the keys or I'm gonna have to file bankruptcy, so I'm just gonna take the keys back to the bank and let them figure it out. So I was like, this is gonna get ugly quick. So fortunately for me, being in a small market, I went to a lot of those banks and I said, hey, I know you got the keys from this builder, and I know you got the keys from this builder, let me help you get these houses built. So in 9 and 10, I had my best 2 years in real estate ever up to date at that point, because I helped them find the people to finish those houses. We went from slabs to keys, we went from construction framed to roofing to figuring out how to put appliances in houses, getting codes inspectors. I took a 411 crash course in building houses really quick. But I was able to survive and keep my family afloat. And a lot of the subs that I got close to, I was able to keep them afloat too. But the unfortunate thing happened when I ran out of houses to sell. And so in 2010, I lost 50% of my income overnight. Didn't have any houses to sell. Well, 2011, we start coming out of that with REO property. If anybody has done REO, that is not really the best market, but we got paid. But what happened was in 2007, 8, and 9, and a little bit of 10, before the new construction started back up, we got 3.7 million starts behind in the United States. 3.7 million houses didn't go on the ground for those 3.5 years. So if you don't know what that means about 1 million houses are built every single year in the United States. 1.1, right around 1 million houses. So for 3 years, not a house was built per se, okay? Now, here's the big catch-22. 7, 8, and 9, did any of you stop aging? So we're continuing to age, right? And there's no more houses coming on. And then in 2010, everybody wants to jump back in the market, and we don't have enough houses, okay? Let me give you another stat. The biggest generation in America until 2020 was who? Baby boomers. And in 2020, they were lapsed by who? Millennials. So now I've got two sets of people, the two biggest generations in America, fighting for what? The same houses. So I've gone from 2010 of being 3.7 million starts behind, we never caught back up. Okay, so 2020, now I've got the two biggest generations fighting for the same houses. Let me give you some more information. In 2007, 8, and 9, our workforce development new construction was cut in half. So 50% of the people that were the plumbers, the electricians, the bricklayers, the framers, all had to go find other jobs. Because how many of you could not have worked for 3 years and been able to survive? Right? So we're still behind in workforce in 2022. We're still behind in starts. Now we're about 6 million starts behind, if you didn't know, because in 2020, a little thing happened called COVID, pandemic. And we started that whole transaction again of nobody could work, products can't come in, people couldn't get things to finish their houses, so they sat on the market. Then we had the interest rates going backwards, and everybody wanted to jump in and buy a house. And oh, guess what happened in 2021? 20% of every house that went on the market was bought by who? Investors. So if I'm taking 20% of the houses that went on the market in America off and nothing else is coming on, what is happening to our inventory? Does this make sense to you guys? So nobody woke up in 2022 and had an inventory crisis. Do you see what I'm saying? Now here's the kicker. We're here for 7 years on average. We could be here for 7 years. Let's soak in for a minute.
Where's here?
In this market. Inventory issues, the rate's not changing, workforce not coming back. We're not going to catch up the inventory of new construction houses. So most people are saying, hey, the market's not going to go back to where it was anytime soon. And some people can predict up to 7 years that we can stay here. So how do we fix it? That's what I came to share with you guys today. If you're here, then you want to fix it, right? Right? Nobody came here to say, hey, I want to stay here. So we're going to work on mindset today. We're going to work on how to find more listings and how to get more of our offers accepted, because I don't know that the inventory issue is going to get fixed overnight. Now, a lot of us are already starting to say, well, it's slowing down. I didn't have enough more people coming to my open house. Do you guys not normally slow down around Memorial Day? Right? We're also fearful of where the next deal's coming from, so we're already feeding into the media frenzy that, oh my gosh, the market's already slowing down. In most of the bigger metropolitan areas, they're really not. We're just feeding into what everybody is telling us. Now, can we all agree that we should not watch the national news? Can we keep it local, and sometimes at a bare minimum even locally, right? We got to get out of the news. You got to do your own homework. So every time I make this presentation around the country, I've been doing it since January, everybody says, where did you get all this information? I did my homework. National Home Builders Association. I meet with some of the top builders in the country. D.R. Horton, who's one of the #1 builders in the country. I have several people that work in the organization, because I worked with them for so long, that feed me a lot of data and stats. Go to the National Association of Realtors. Go to your local boards. Figure out what is happening so you can tell the truth. Listen, we cannot rely on other people to tell our truth. We're the professionals in this industry. So when we sit back and we go, somebody else will figure it out, and then we wonder why people aren't coming to our open houses, that's on us. So the faster we can fix some of the issues that we have with our local market and tell the truth of the market, the faster we can get out of that. Can we agree with this? Okay, so let's get started. All right, so let's talk about mindset. Quite honestly, for us in the core, we believe there are 2 sets of mindset. Just 2. Now, if you go to some specialists, they're going to tell you there's 400, but I can only manage about 2, okay? So let's talk about scarcity. Most of our mindset scarcity comes when we don't have a plan, okay? Which drives us to fear. It drives us to chaos. It drives us to the instability of we don't know where the next lead's coming from, or we feed into, oh my gosh, nobody came to my open house, so now I'm going to be broke, right? It's very easy to go to the scarcity mindset. Well, if it's easy for us as a professional who do this every day, how easy is it for your clients to fall into that? That scarcity, that fear, that, I'll do something that I wouldn't normally do because I don't know what's going to happen, right? We have to be the one taking the stats and the data to them to educate them, to get them out of that scarcity mindset, okay? Just like I don't want to list right now because I don't have anywhere to go. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, okay? How many of you have heard that in the last 2 months? Right? There's plenty of places to go, but we might have to go work a little harder, or they might have to change something. They might have to make a little concession. But there's plenty of opportunities for people to go somewhere, okay? All right, let's go to the other side of that, the abundance mindset. That's when we plant seeds every single day, knowing that a harvest is going to come, okay? We follow a plan. We're proactive versus reactive. Now, we all know that fear can do one of 2 things. It can propel you to step up and do whatever it takes to get paid, or it can paralyze you, and you can be defeated and fall prey to the fear, the anxiety, the negativity, like a lot of our clients do, right? So we're going to talk about ways to stay in the abundance mindset. First and foremost, you have to prospect every day. Now, this is not a prospecting class, but if you got into real estate thinking that the tree was just going to be filled with fruit and you were going to go pick it whenever you wanted and you were going to be rich, I am very sorry to tell you you were misled. Okay? Sales is sales. That means things don't fall in our lap very often. Now, there's a funny little saying, a blind squirrel finds an acorn every now and then. Yes, those are going to happen, but every now and again, right? So a system looks like, hey, I call this group of people on Monday, I call this group on Tuesday, I call this group on Wednesday. I do it at the same time. I offer something of value. I find a problem. I fix the problem. I find a need. I fill a need. We have to go back to Sales 101. If you want your mindset to change, it starts with you. System, okay? Structure. It will eliminate the fear and the struggle that you or your clients might be in right now. It also looks like work-life balance. Some of you have been running yourself nuts. You're like, what the crap is balance? Where do I find that? It starts with systems. It starts with a change in your mindset. I learned this a long time ago that every time my phone rang, I grabbed it. Whether I was at dinner or another client in my car, because I didn't know anything different. I thought, if I don't grab this phone call, where's the next lead going to come from, right? And what I realized is I disrespected the people in my car. I disrespected my family. I created chaos for myself. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way. Has anybody lived like that recently? Yeah. I was pretty sure my husband and my son didn't really know my name because I never came home, right? Can't do that. And a lot of that will start with some authority. Whether you're a managing broker or you work for a managing broker or you have a coach or you don't have a coach, a lot of this starts with somebody saying, do this every single day. Now, how many of you had a career prior to real estate where you clocked in and clocked out every day? You had a start time and a go home time. So most of us, right? And so then we jump into real estate, we're like, oh, no boss. We just come in when we want, we leave when we want, and then we wonder why it's chaos all the time, right? So following a plan will help you with that abundance mindset, all right? Same thing with your clients, a system and structure for your clients, okay? If you don't tell them what's going to happen next, there's fear. And we take for granted that we sell real estate every single day. So we know what's coming next. We're going to bind this contract, and then we're going to call for the inspection, and then we're going to do this. But we're like, we'll let you know what comes next. Has anybody had a medical scare recently and they're waiting on a phone call and they're like, we'll call you and tell you what's next. How'd you sleep at night? Not so well, right? This is their biggest asset most of these people will ever own in their lifetime, and we're not giving them a system or a plan of action to let them know that, hey, we're going to manage your fear, okay? And so we wonder why our people are calling us 24 hours a day. Whose fault is that? Ours, okay? So it all starts with mindset. If you're going to survive a hot market, you better fix your mind, but you got to get a plan to help fix the client's mind too. Make sense? All right. So how do we prevent burnout? Anybody in here feel like they've had burnout recently? How do we manage burnout? Oh my gosh. So let's talk about it. A system. Imagine that. You got to be an expert. You have to be an expert. So let's talk about experts in our world. Who is somebody that somebody throw out a name that you favor as an expert? In whatever field, doesn't matter.
Christine.
Christine? I hear that.
Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett. Okay? So you think Warren Buffett lives his life by a system? Think he probably gets up at the same time every day, probably works out every day, probably has somebody looking over his financials or his system, probably managing his time, making sure that he gets a printout of all of his assets to review to see if he needs to make any adjustments. You think he goes home at a certain time for dinner? Think he works out? Think he takes care of his body, his health, his Christianity, spirituality?
Yes.
Well, he's one of the richest people in the world. So if we like to believe he's an expert, as Chad does in his eyes, why would you not emulate some of those things? Right? Why do we want to play at an amateur level and then wonder why we burn out? Why is that? Not good boundaries? Improper expectations? not a clear vision. Who are you following? Listen, I'm not going to go to the gym with somebody who is not taking care of themselves and let them train me. We just had this conversation, me, Chad, and my husband, about somebody we know, right? He's not mentally in the right space. He's not physically in the right space. So why am I going to pay him to put me in the right space? Does that sound like a good idea? No. So how do we become the expert? Here's some ideas, okay? Number one, ignore the comparison game. Ignore the comparison game. This is for you and your client. So how many times do you go on a listing appointment and they say, well, my neighbor's house sold for X, Y, and Z, and their kitchen's not near as good as mine. Never hear that. Listen, guys, the data doesn't lie, right? So don't let them go to the comparison game. Well, how about you? Well, so-and-so did this, and they did that, so I'm going to do this. We don't know what happens behind closed doors, right? Don't put yourself in the comparison game. It doesn't make you an expert, okay? Be firm with them. Them meaning competition, meaning the other party, meaning your client. Be clear, firm, and direct. What do you want? Most experts are going to say, well, I might invest in my stock market here, but I might go over here, but I would do this. If they're an expert, they're going to say, go here, right? Be clear, firm, and direct as an expert. Now, when we're leading our clients, this is one of the oldest tricks in the books. I could probably go up here and talk to these ladies because they've all been in a long time like me, but there was a thing called nice to have, must have. It was a piece of paper. At the top, you put their name, you drew a line down the middle, and you said, nice to have and must haves. And you sit down with your client and you say, what's got to be in this house? What are your must haves and what are your nice to haves? Now, why do I do that? Why do I do that in this market?
So you can reference back to it.
So when they text me at 7 o'clock on Saturday morning and say, we have to get the first one in at 8 to see this house, that the sign just went up, and I go, I pull it up on the MLS and there's no fireplace, and a fireplace is a must-have. Am I going to run out and show that house?
Nope.
How many of you have done that in the past? Let me just throw up every hand and foot I have, right? Because we're fearful of where the next deal will come from, right? So we make exceptions, and then we find ourselves being led by the client versus us leading the client. We're no longer the expert. Does this make sense? So take back this 1990s jewel right here. From now on, when you sit down with your buyers and you say, what are your must-haves? And every time they call or text you with an MLS listing or an address, if it doesn't check those boxes, educate them. Be clear, firm, and direct. Hey, you said fireplace was a must-have. You know this house doesn't have a must-have fireplace, right? Oh gosh, I didn't think about that, right? We're an expert. A lot of times we don't do our job and we get them in a pickle, and it's usually back on us, okay? How does the rates affect their payment? Now, my disclaimer, I never, ever, ever want to do Chad or Sam or Adam or Thomas, anybody's job that's a loan officer. I don't want your job, okay? But I need to be a little bit educated, right? So this is the conversations that you should be having with your lender. Hey, if the rates fluctuate 0.5% on the Joneses, what is really their top? How far can they go? So I can know that if I'm still in the realm, I gotta be the expert. Because remember, a lot of our clients don't understand what's going on with the rates. They're still wanting to look at the $550 or their $1 million house. With the rates changing, they can't do that anymore. So we run them around ragged, we show them houses, and they get to one of our LOs and they go, they don't qualify anymore. Has anybody had to cancel some contracts over changes in rates in this market? Yeah, it will happen. So again, we have to be the experts. So I'm not saying learn how to do a loan. I'm saying have a conversation and be the expert so you can guide the client and say, hey, a little tweak is going to affect us here, so we got to move the price. Make sense? Okay. Market conditions. What is true and what is not? If I can teach you anything today, I would teach you to say the data doesn't lie. The data doesn't lie, right? And I don't think that our clients intentionally try to mislead us, but hearsay on the road is the Joneses house sold for $250,000 over asking price. And we pull it up on the MLS, we're like, no, it was really 25,000. You added an extra zero. Right? So the data doesn't lie, but we find ourselves taking everybody's information in the market that we're in because we're running at such a fast pace that we have forgotten that there is a system and a structure in which that we do our business. Does that make sense to everybody? So market conditions, I said it earlier, it's local. Let's remind our clients when we sit down with them from the get-go, it's real estate is local. Turn off the national news, call me with your questions, email me a list of questions. I will get you data and facts on the area in which you are looking here. That's what's important, okay? But again, I'm guilty of everything that I share is because I've made these mistakes, okay? So I'm not picking, you're picking on me. No, I'm picking on myself. Because I can't tell you how many times I ran and showed a house that was wrong or on the wrong side of town or that they thought it sold for more. I made a butthole out of myself when I made a crazy offer, right? I've made every mistake. So if you've made them too, it's okay. We can fix it. This is how you fix it, right? Next, how your relationships will benefit them. I talk about not being a secret agent, but I also need you all to understand that we are in a position of influence. And if you know other people in position of influence, you should use those relationships to educate the clients, right? So one of the best gifts I got in real estate many years ago was because I was in new construction for a long time. I referenced D.R. Horton. When they came to Nashville area where we lived, they were hunting around to buy all the market lots that got dumped during the 10 market 9 and 10. Okay, and this was in 2012. And they pulled in the guy that I'm really good friends with, pulled into the subdivision, started talking to people, and they're like, Kendra Cooke sells every house in here. You should talk to Kendra Cooke about these lots. So then he goes to the Chamber of Commerce, and he was talking to some people at the Chamber, and they said, hey, Kendra Cooke is the expert when it comes to new construction in our marketplace. And the third place he went was to the city planner, Kevin Rigsby, who's still there to this day in Smyrna, Tennessee, and he said, I would not buy a lot in this town until I talked to Kendra Cooke. And he said, I heard your name 3 times and I knew I had to meet this Kendra Cooke. That's the relationships that you want. So if you're sitting back thinking, hey, I'm the expert, but nobody knows me, that means you're a secret agent. It doesn't mean you're an expert, okay? You've got to go make these relationships. So if there's something at the chamber that you want to be a part of and you want to meet the players, go join the chamber. If you love new construction, go become part of the Home Builders Association. These relationships will help you when you need help somewhere down the road. I can pick up the phone and call Kevin Rigsby and say, hey, there's a sign going up, what's the zoning? I can have it about that quick, right? Those are relationships you need to use as a realtor, but you also need to use those with your clients so they know that you're the expert, okay? The best one you should take away today is you're a master negotiator. If you're not, become one. This market is not going to get any easier, okay? If you've not taken a negotiating class or watched a YouTube video on words to use when you're negotiating, it's not about a win-lose. When people talk about negotiating, they're like, oh, well, if I win and my client wins, then we're winners. It's okay if they lose. That's not negotiating, okay? We want to set ourselves in a position where we win and they win. That makes us an expert, right? So if you are not a master negotiator, I don't know that I could tell you to go support that on your business card or on your website, but if you're not, get some training on it because you're going to need it in this market moving forward for the next several years, okay? And the last one is tons of communication. Listen, experts don't run from the truth. Think about that for a second. If somebody calls and says, hey, I'm not happy with this situation, and you take 2 hours or 2 days to call them back, I would not consider you an expert. You have to make sure that you become the expert by being communication to all parties. And I will tell you, if you're doing a deal with me and you text me, it's not going to be fun because that is the spawn of the devil. Texting is the spawn of the devil. I hate it. I hate it. You can text me and say, hey, I'm on my way, cool. Steph and I text stuff like that, Chad and I text stuff like that. But if you're gonna have a conversation with me about my biggest asset, something we're working a deal, do not text me. Pick up the phone and call me or put it in writing. I just saw a friend of ours in the Corps says he delivers bad news with a phone call and good news in an email. I love that. If you're delivering some bad news, pick up the phone and deliver that. I cannot interpret your tone, neither can your clients in an email. But if I hear your voice and you're delivering something that's bad, but you've got a solution, I want to hear your voice. Now, if you want to celebrate something with me, send it on an email and we can keep that chain going. But communication is key for an expert. Okay? All right. So now we're going to jump into some meat and potatoes. Where are we going to find some listings in this market? Where are we going to find some listings in this market? The one thing that I love, I'm sorry, I'm driving you crazy because I'm walking. I will stay right here. I have the hardest time. I am so sorry. I will stay right here. Okay, sorry. I was going to come see y'all back there, but I can't. I got to stay right here. Or this young man is going to drive, I'm going to drive him over the edge.
I'm just going to keep following you. Don't worry about it.
I'm so sorry. I can't stand still and I can't talk without my hands, so I apologize. Okay, so let's talk about ideas for listings. Now my big disclaimer today is you're not going to hear anything new. Okay, so if you came here today going, oh God, there is nothing new in real estate, let's be honest, right? I've been doing it for over 30 years. I think somebody over here said they've been in it over 30 years, so it's just the true blue stuff that we sometimes forget to do or we change as the market changes. But here's what I can tell you. We talk about in the core that for the last, I would say 7 years, we have been able to walk out in the yard and pretend there's an apple tree there and go, I'm going to take this listing today, and I might take this buyer. But it wasn't a whole lot of work to find listings and buyers, right? It was kind of like picking apples. Well, now we're growing something different. And you're going to have to get a ladder, and you're going to have to go further up that apple tree and get what's up there because that's all there is. Does that make sense? So that low-hanging fruit is probably going to get less and less as we go through these next few years because there's going to be fear, there's going to be controversy, there's going to be people getting out of the business. And so there is going to be a little more market share for us to get, but we're going to have to work a little harder because when people leave the industry, if they don't know you, how do we find these people? Okay? So all of these tips will not be new for you. Probably nothing up here is new, but something that you haven't done lately, okay? So the first one is social media. I had a conversation with these guys up here today, and they're working on their social media. And here's the thing, I never use social media to generate leads. I use social media to connect other people to me, okay? And so my biggest thing we did in social media, which you guys are gonna laugh because a lot of you in here are much younger than me, but we bought a corrugated sign, a little plastic sign about this big, and it had my logo on it and it said, we bought our house with Cooke Realty Partners, and the other side says, I sold my house with Cooke Realty Partners, and everybody on the team has one in their trunk. They cost about $15, okay? And every time somebody goes to a closing, they take the sign, and they take a picture, or if they will give you a video testimonial, in this market, it's money in the bank. Right? Because everybody wants to work with somebody who found their person a house or who got their house sold over asking price, right? So you cannot pay for that advertising from a piece of paper, but you can pay for it from a testimonial video. So social media, the way we use it in this market, is take a picture with the sign or ask them if they'll do a quick video. Hey, we put our house on the market thinking we were going to get X dollars. We got 3% more or 10% more or 10,000 over. If you need a realtor, you should call Kendra Cooke. Wow, right? How much money did that cost me? $15 up front, and I get to use that sign over and over and over. Make sense? So I now put that video on our social media and I tag them, and now it goes to their page, and watch what happens. We're thinking about selling our house. Oh, if we would have known we were selling, we would have bought your house, blah, blah, blah. Now all the comments, now you go on Facebook Messenger, hey, here's my bio. If you're thinking about buying or selling, I'd love to have a conversation with you. How much money did that cost me? Okay, new plug for social media. Get your clients to sell you on social media if you're not doing that. Next, VIPs. This is a whole program that we teach in the core, 50 VIPs, and I'm just going to give you 3 of them today, okay? 3 specific people that can help you find listings. Number 1, senior financial planners. If you're not working with a financial planner who is designated to work with seniors, shame on you. Go find one, okay? I just told you that the biggest generation prior to 2 years ago was baby boomers, okay? They own a lot of houses. Now, I'm going to give you a stat, and I think it's up here, which is the next one. Baby boomers own 42% of the houses in the United States. How many of you knew that stat? 42% of the houses in the United States are owned by baby boomers in that generation. Now, you're like, well, how do they own so many? A lot of them own 2 houses. And if you know what that means to you, some of these people are going to start to retire, age out, move closer to their kids or grandkids. So if they've already bought the mountain house or the beach house, they're going to sell a primary residence. If they're in your marketplace, you should be draping on those people now. The next 3 to 5 years, that is a huge gap that you will be able to fill with listings that you need. Lack of listing inventory will be filled by the baby boomers. Okay? Another great thing to know about that is they've already got the other house. So you're not going to have to find them another house for them to sell. They're selling their primary house and going to their secondary. Does that make sense? So there is going to be a huge pool of those houses in the next 3 to 5 years. Senior financial planners, a senior would go consult their financial planner before they decided to do that and say, hey, is my money right? Am I ready to do this? Do I have enough to live? What is my cash going to look like for the next 20 years as we retire and move on to our next phase of our life? Okay, it's a great place to get connected with people for listings. The second one, CPAs, not as much in today as it was in the first quarter of the year, but I am very shocked at how many people file extensions in their taxes. So, if you have a CPA that you work with, a conversation with them would look like, hey, when people are coming to do their taxes, if they're considering downsizing or buying a bigger house based on the money that they've made over the last couple of years, if you don't have a real estate partner, I want to be that person. I want you to connect me to your database of those people who need to buy or sell or want to buy or sell. Okay? The greatest thing about these 3 VIPs, how much referral fees have you paid for these leads so far? Okay? Again, I'm not telling you to just spend a lot of money. I'm telling you to use the resources that you already have. Make sense? Okay? And the third one up there is probate attorney. I don't mean to be morbid, but people's lives are going to end. And there are a lot of people that don't have heirs. So why not get your option to get these houses sold? The greatest thing about the probate attorneys is there's no emotion for them, right? It's not, I didn't bring my baby home here, or I raised my 5 children here. It's a whole different sell when you work with probate, okay? The one thing I will warn you about with a probate, if you start working in that arena at all, you're gonna have to have some help. And what do I mean by that? A lot of them, it's here's the listing, I need you to trash it out. I need you to paint it. I need you to keep the yard cut. I need you to get the utilities put on. If you're a lone ranger, as in you don't have a team, this might not be something you wanna do right now. Keep it as a nugget you can add when you get some team members, but it will drown you if it really takes off. Now we have somebody in the Corps who out in California, and this is about the only revenue stream that she works with right now. She found one probate attorney in Santa Barbara, and he said, well, I know one over here, and I know one over here, and she has a happy hour once a month to let them come and drink and talk. She picks up the tab, she's like, I don't even think they really know my name, but she closes 8 to 10 deals a month from probate attorneys. It is a very lucrative business. You just need to find one. Now here's the thing, any attorney that you have in your database can help you find a good probate attorney. So if you've got a divorce attorney that you sold a house to, or a family law attorney, they all run in packs. Kind of like us as realtors, right? So if you have a good a good attorney that you know, they could probably help you find one. But these are all 3 great places to find listings moving forward, okay? All right, the next tool up here is your database. It's another whole class. If you know me and you've ever heard me talk, that's your money maker. Your database is your money maker. I'm always shocked at the people that step over their database to chase cold leads. Listen, people, these are the ones that know, like, and trust you. When we talk about database in the Corps, we're talking about current clients, past clients, personal friends, business partners, people who already know, like, and trust me, right? And when I ask for somebody's help that knows, likes, and trusts me, guess what they do? They help me. You go, well, what does that look like? Okay, well, let's practice. Everybody raise your right hand. Put your finger in the air. Wave it around like you just don't care. Look around the room. What's everybody doing? What I ask them to do. You all must know, like, and trust ask me. So how does that work with your database? You call your database and you say, I need your help. I am looking for a buyer or seller, or I'm looking for somebody, a house in the peninsula for my friend Chad, or I need a house for my friend Nick in Forest Hills, or I need your help. And guess what they will do? They will help you. Yet you, along with me for a very, very long time, or some of you I should say, sit back and go, oh, I don't want to look desperate. Well, let me help you. You are. You are desperate. If you have mouths to feed and houses to pay for and cars to drive and $6 gasoline to pay for, you're desperate. So stop sitting back waiting for something to come to you, right? Nothing comes to those who wait. If you want that business and you want those leads, then you're going to have to go ask people for their help. That's the database. Okay, so just like I said, 42% of the houses are owned by baby boomers. If you know you have a nice large pool of those folks in your database, start some education lunch and learns like this. But you can do them in the afternoons, or you can do them on Sunday morning. Are you ready to retire? Is your housing needs in sync for your retirement? Bring that senior financial planner. Let them do a 15 or 20 minute seminar on it with them. Listen, you want to talk about giving value to your database to where they want to help you? That's the way to do it. So stop saying I can't do it because I don't know enough. Bring the expert in. If you're the expert in real estate and you need an expert in financial support for a baby boomer, bring them. Bring your lender partner in. Let them talk about what's going on, how you can help them get the most asset out of their money, the most assets out of their house, and that money to go invest somewhere else. It's time that we stop sitting back waiting for things to fall in our lap. All right, the next one, geographic farm. This one's going to take a little longer. If you already do a geographic farm, change the wording. Be proactive. I think that we get in a mindset of, hey, we're number one in my office. Well, what if you're the only agent in your office? Who really cares? I mean, what does that mean to me, right, as a client? If you're going to sell my house and you're like, I'm number one in my office, okay. What I need to know is, how many houses did you sell? Did you sell over asking price? How many days on the market were all your listings on the market last year? Like, give me something that makes me want to call you and say, I need you to list my house. Right? And I know that this is no disrespect to any of us in the room. When we got into real estate, they're like branding and promotion and this and that and marketing. Relationships. Relationships will change your business. Right? You might get some leads from some marketing and things, but really more importantly, the relationships are how we're going to grow our businesses. So in the geographic farm, pick one. 500 neighborhood doors or roofs or however you want to pick your geographic farm, but don't pick a brand new one. If they all just moved in, chances of them moving out are slim to none, right? It's going to take them 3 to 5, maybe even 7 years to move. So be smart about when you pick your geographic farm, because you need to farm 3 to 5 years to see the fruits of your labor. It's the long game, okay? It's the long game. The next one, other agents, just like you that are in this room today. I told you I'm a big advocate for working with each other. Listen, I'm not saying do anything illegal, but if I was standing here today and I had a niche property that wasn't selling, I would have networked with every one of you in the room and said, hey, I got this niche property, and I just put it on the market, and it's blah, 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 blah. And hey, you sell this market? I got a new listing. Let me tell you about it. Hey, you got it? Right? So if you know a real estate agent that has a luncheon at one of her listings or his listings, go. Go get a free lunch and talk to the other people in the room, because I promise you, when you go patronize them, when they have a listing, when you have something, they will come back and patronize you. How does that help you find listings? Hey, Steph, I'm looking for this condo. I need a penthouse. I have no idea what your pricing is here. I'm just pretending. You have $4 million penthouse. If anything comes up, let me know. 2 weeks from now, Steph's got a $4 million listing. Hey, Kendra Cooke, that conversation we had, I got the listing. Guess what? I'm not saying she's doing it illegal, but at least if she gives me a heads up it's coming on the market and I go look at it when it goes on the MLS, it might have been something I missed. It's a relationship that I've formed, and if we both get paid, we win. Does that make sense? Okay. REO Asset Manager. It's a rough business, but it's coming back. Anybody in here read the Inman News blogs? Okay, so you know that in the first quarter there were 131,000 houses in The United States that were already in default, the start of June, that number jumped to 327,000 in 60 days. This is US-wide, but it's almost doubled in less than a quarter. It's only gonna keep trending. And it may not be this market, but there will be asset REO properties around the country. So, it doesn't hurt to put a call into somebody. If you worked that market in the past, call your asset manager. Say, hey, I know this may come back and it may only be 1 or 2 properties in the next 10 years, but I want both of them. I wanna be your go-to person. Doesn't hurt to make that call. You're supposed to be prospecting every day anyway, right? Pocket listings. I always love when people go, that's illegal. Okay, I'm not telling you to do anything illegal, okay? Let me tell you what I consider a pocket listing. I'm calling through my database and I'm like, hey, I have a client that is looking for this $4 million house. If you find anybody that's gonna list, let me know. And I plant that seed 400 times in the next year. Guess what? I will probably find that listing for my client. That's a pocket listing to me. I'm not telling you to do anything illegal. I'm just always planting seeds because how many of you know that you have a client that needs a niche property that's not just gonna pop up any day now, right? We all have somebody who has a dream property, whether it's like our boss at the court. He wanted an island. Those don't come around every day. I need an island. We're all like, there is no island, it's a lake. What are you talking about? He wanted it on a peninsula. And he kept talking about it for years, and guess what? He got an island. He's on a peninsula. He's building his dream house. But the person that listened to him and kept their ears open got paid a really healthy check for that sale. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about pocket listings. If you have people that have a dream book, that they have a dream property, that if you found it, they would buy it, that's a pocket listing to me. Make sense? All right, lastly, mini farms, just listed, just sold cards. I cannot tell you how many listings I've gotten from a just listed, just sold card. Back in the 90s, that was my marketing plan. That was the only plan I had. It was all I could afford, right? We stopped doing it because, again, the fruit was just falling off the tree. We didn't need to do it. But if you're going to look for listings in this market and you need to be the expert, you better go back to just listed, just sold cards. There are tons and tons of people on the internet that will do these for peanuts on the dollar. I use a company, I don't get a kickback, but I will tell you who I use for about 15 years. thepersonalmarketingcompany.com, that's how I found them. But they do small cards, big cards. They will pull your closest 50 neighbors off of your MLS, do your cards. They mail one to you so you know it went, and it's, swipe my credit card and go. It's really easy once you set your template up. But just listed, just sold cards have really come back into fruition in a lot of markets and are getting a lot of attention. So it might be something you would be willing to do. Here's my last tool for you. It won't work in every scenario, but it will work. When I moved to Charlotte in 2017, in 2016, my team and I had sold 363 houses in 365 days. I was primarily a listing agent, and our listings averaged 8 offers per listing at the time. So we were an 8 offer multiple listing situation back then, and that was in 2016. And we had to figure out how to make this work. We needed listings just like you guys need listings today. And so in one of our brain sessions at coaching, somebody said, well, how do we get these people to move twice? And I'm like, oh, ding, ding, ding. That just sent up the big red flag for me. And I thought, well, most people won't move twice because they don't think they have the time. It's too much work, right? Don't have the time to research it, don't have the time to find what it would cost me to move. And so you're gonna put the plan together for them. And this was our plan. And we found companies, it's gonna take a little work on your behalf, but you're gonna call rental companies and say, hey, we do short-term leases, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12-month leases. We did apartments, we did property management companies, we got the storage unit quotes, like what did a storage unit cost based on size. The packing companies that would do the pods and put them up in a heated and cooling place. The third piece of this, which you cannot see, is all the utilities in our marketplace. We did all their utility numbers because they don't want to stop long enough to look it up, right? And so when I would go into a listing appointment, I would say, hey, what are you thinking you want for your house? And they throw out a number. And if I think I can get that number, I'm like, are you ready to move today? They're like, oh, I don't have anywhere to go, and that's going to be a lot of work, and they start backing it out, and I can pull out this tool. Well, what if I told you that your house is really worth this, but I could get you that, and we would use that stretch as combat pay? They go, combat pay? Yeah, I'm going to ask you to move twice. So I'm gonna get you what you want. You're gonna use that extra money for combat pay to move to a short-term rental until I can find you somewhere to go. It also fixes the contingency issue, because I don't know about your market, but there ain't no offer getting accepted in the state of Tennessee with a contingency, right? So no longer is it contingent upon their house selling or their financing, because now they're pretty much a cash buyer. That contingency's been removed. Make sense? So it's gonna take some sales skills, that negotiating skills that we talked about earlier, but there are enough people that will sell because they're starting to get a little nervous, are the prices coming down, right? So if you have a rental market available to you, I would do some research. Now, they're not gonna work for you, okay? But in most markets, if you have a rental ability, this will work. Especially somebody, my husband will kill me when I say this, but we laugh about it all the time. We're empty nesters. If somebody knocks on our door and gives us the most unrealistic offer for cash, we're out of there. I'll go to an apartment, I'll move to my house in Nashville, I'll figure it out, right? So there are people like us that are empty nesters or looking for somebody to make them an offer or willing to move twice because they don't have that connection to the house. Does that make sense? So this is a great tool for you guys to use in this market, all right? All right, let's talk about getting some offers accepted, and then we will wrap this up. So, what time am I done?
You're good. You got half hour.
I got half hour. Okay, oh yeah, I'll be done waiting for that. Okay, let's talk about offers accepted. Now, my disclaimer is I'm a licensed realtor just like you, okay? So if anything up here, you're like, that doesn't go in the state of Illinois, okay, just don't do it, okay? I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble, do anything illegal, but we have students in 37 states, so I travel to about 20, 25 of them. So this is for a universal audience, okay? I like to make my disclosure. Obviously, financials must be in order. I'm telling you right now, if you are not using Chad and the rest of these guys as your preferred lender, you're missing the opportunity to have a great experience for yourself, but also for your clients. He did not pay me to say that, but I'm just telling you, as a listing agent, if you bring me an offer and it has an internet approved lender letter on it, in a multiple offer situation, I'm going to make sure my clients know that this is an internet situation. I don't know how much you love the internet. Right? Because listen, if I'm working with a local lender as a seller's agent and a buyer, one of you bringing me an offer and it has Chad's name on it, I know Chad's local. And if something goes haywire, I'll be jumping up and down on Chad's desk. Right? I cannot do that on an internet situation. I love at the bottom, if you guys haven't paid attention to the small print, it says all emails and calls will be returned in 48 hours. I might be dead in 48 hours. Like, I need an answer like now. Like, I gotta get paid now, right? So you have to do your due diligence, especially on the buy side. If you got a buyer and they are uneducated on, hey, well, the deal on the internet's so much better, you better make sure that they understand the repercussions, that you don't have a relationship, there's not someone local, you know, they may get burned, you can't do anything if it doesn't close on time. I mean, you gotta do your due diligence. Now, that's not steering, that's not saying, hey, go to Chad, it's saying find somebody local for a second opinion, because you might get screwed, right? Make sure their finances are in order. Waive the inspection. I love this one. Usually people come up to me afterwards, that's the worst idea I've ever heard in my life. Yes. Listen, I'm like, I don't disagree with you, but it's happening all over the country, right? I mean, how are people getting houses accepted? But here's what I would tell you. If I were a broker or owner, and there would be an extra disclosure that would be signed and certified and something that they can't come back on me. I would CYA cover your assets. But I'm telling you, if you have a buyer and they want the house, this is an option, okay? Waive the appraisal. Now, here's my caveat for that. Your lender better have proof of funds that they have the extra cash. Because if you bring me an offer, and this goes for the escalation clause and everything else up here, I want money, I want proof right here, right? I want to know, somebody's got to know that you've got extra cash to do that. Because if your lender approved you for $550 and you waived the appraisal and only prices for $510, where's that 40 grand coming from? I do not want to accept an offer as a listing agent or get my clients to accept that offer unless somebody's verified that cash is somewhere that it can be touched. Now, you want to talk about burning a bridge with a good realtor? Whoo! Let that come back and bite you in the butt. It will not be a pleasant conversation. Do your due diligence as a buyer's agent.
Kendra.
Yes.
I do have one question.
Yes.
Do you recommend trying to push to have the appraisal done during the attorney review period?
You guys have it, that's different for us. We don't have the attorney review period, so I don't know that I can answer that logically, so
I mean, the chances of that happening in time are
slim
so
to none.
small.
Yeah, so I would say that, I know a lot of the appraisers are so backed up in most markets, I would think so, but.
I mean, I've had some guys do it like for clients that say, I really want this place and I'm willing to pay whatever it appraises to. Then like some lenders are like, well, if I can make it happen, you know, basically we're only paid in highly probable outcomes.
Right.
So like, if they can get an appraiser in there and basically say that yes, this property will go for $565, you know, even though, you know, it's being marketed at $500,000.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I cannot answer that logically. Yes, Chad?
I'll speak to this a little bit. I would just work with a lender that can verify what the appraisal gap coverage is.
Right.
What the lender can kick in to cover that gap, what the buyer's willing to kick in, and we put that on the pre-approval from the beginning of when all you can negotiate on the appraisal.
Ooh.
So you don't have a
Value
lender
add right
that's
there.
doing that for you and you're not working with us. That's how we're winning a lot of offers here locally is with that gap coverage.
See, there's another reason you should work with Chad and his crew. Okay. All right, increase your earnest money. In a lot of markets, I will just tell you the scariest market in my career right now is California. It really freaks me out when I coach people there. But they increase their earnest money and they make it non-refundable. It makes me want to gag. But it happens. Escalation clause, is that legal in state of Illinois?
Yes.
Okay, so most of you are familiar with that. This next one is brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Local lender, call the listing agent and say, BOEs are in, money's verified, these people are good to go. I've worked with them in the past, your realtor is a rock star, whatever it is that's gonna help you get that offer. As a listing agent, I welcome those calls all day long. All day long. Because I'll have 10 other offers that I can't even get nobody on the phone, they didn't sign the pre-approval letter, they're gonna get back to me in 48 hours. So listen, local is key, but listen, if you got somebody in your hip pocket in this room that will make these calls for you, you need to stick with them. That is a huge value add for your clients. This one cracks me up. Call the listing agent. You're a buyer's agent. Everybody's got their buyer agent hat on. Call the listing agent. Hey, I've got a client that loves your property at 1234. What can you tell me about it? And shut up. Stop talking. Oh, I know you can't tell me anything. You're probably under disclosure, and I know everything's on the property disclosure, but if there is anything, I've got a buyer that wants to buy 1234. Is there anything you can tell me about it? Now, I'm not saying do something illegal. All I need is one little nugget. And the nugget could be, well, you know, they're not leaving that place they set out in the backyard. That place that is going to come hay or high water. Great. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. I look at my buyer and go, you don't want that freaking place set out back. It's a hazard. Let's let them take that. You win the offer over a stinking playground. Here's the thing that we get so in our head. It's always about the money. How many of you would say that you said that recently? Oh, they're only going to go for a different offer because of the money. It's not true. Yo, we are dealing with people who are highly emotional. They are selling, they are buying, biggest asset, most money. Maybe they're moving their people across their family and their family, friends, personal, whatever, people across the country. That is emotional. So you, as a fiduciary responsibility, said, I will do everything in my power to represent you within legal limits. Is that what our agency disclosure says? We're going to do whatever we do to take care of that client. The best to our ability at the law limit, right? Yeah, we don't make that extra call because it's all about money. They're only going to accept the highest price. How many of you have written an offer, missed out, and watched it, and when it closed for less than your offer? Point taken. It's not always about the money. So call the agent. And if they say, I can't tell you anything, okay, great, no problem, thank you. In your heart, can you lay down at night and say, I did everything I could possibly do to help my client? Get out of your own head. Get out of your own head. Call the listing agent. Incentive from the lender. You just heard Chad say, we can kick in, call us, find out what we'll offer. If they don't close on time, they will help with closing costs, whatever their deal is. If you're not working with somebody that do these things, go find somebody that will, right? There are tons of opportunities for your lender to help you. The next one, stay in as a backup. This is so 1990s. I get it. Everybody's going, no, we're not going to stay in as a backup. We're just going to go find another house. Well, good luck with that. Because if there's no inventory, and I stayed in as a backup and something went awry and they got the house of their dreams, did I do my job? Yes. So let's talk about the backup situation. I don't know about y'all's market, but our market is highly, highly competitive with investors. Okay, portfolio investors, meaning that they come in and say, we're going to buy 500 houses in the next 12 months in this zip code. And every house that goes on the market, they offer cash and quick close. And buyers can't even get their offers in fast enough. Now, I don't know if that happens in this market, but I see some heads nodding, so this must be familiar. Okay. So what happens is they will put offers on 5, 10, 12 houses in a week. Okay. And then they come to our town, or they send their representative to our town to see those 5, 10, 12 houses that they never even saw. And then they're like, we're only going to take this one, and this one. And you can keep our earnest money because they only put down $1,000. Because they offered cash, quick close, you can stay in the house for 30 to 45 days to find your house of your dreams. They make the offer so sweet for the client, for the seller, that they want that offer, which is their right to take. But what happens is when they come in, we learned long and hard, the hardest way possible, that when they come in and only take 2 or 3 of those, then the other 6 or 7 go back on the market, okay? And if my client had written an offer on that house and we would have stayed in it as a backup and negotiated all the way through as a first backup, when that investor pulled out, my buyer would have got the house. Instead, it had to go back on the market, or they had to call all the buyer's agents and say, we're taking highest and best offers, starting over. So stay in as a backup. We did this in the late 1990s. We did it in the early 2000s. Because if I can write one offer and they get the house, great. Now, then I have people ask me when I say this, well, what if we find another house? We withdraw our offer on 1, 2, 3, 4, effective immediately, right? You withdraw the offer and they go get another house. But if you don't have anything else to show them and you can say, hey, we'll stay in it for 7 to 10 days to see if anything falls through, at least you've given them an option. You're giving them an expert advice on, hey, you could get it 50-50 shot if we negotiate it as a backup. But a lot of people are like, no, we'll just start showing houses again. Well, if you don't have anything else to show, talk about a backup, okay? And the last one is free extended occupancy. Now, this will depend on your loan. Obviously, I think most of them are around 30 to 45 days, but a lot of times people don't want to move out until they have a check in the hand. And that is a little sweet piece of the pie for a seller if you've got a buyer that doesn't have to get in it quickly, or if they're renting somewhere and they have an extra 30 days to move or whatever, okay? So, a couple options for that. So as I wrap up, and I'll open up for Q&A, I'm a runner. Anybody else a runner in here? Anybody? Some runners in here? Okay, good. So I'm a marathoner and have been for a long time, although I haven't done a race in, 3 years, I think, because this old body's getting old. But what I will tell you is this market is a marathon right now. And if you are in it for the short term and the quick bucks, those were 20, 21, 20, not 22, right? It's changed a lot in the last 18 to 22 months, 24 months. So I always love to end with, it's not a marathon, it's a sprint. And so if it is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And if you're a runner and you know you've ever done the 13.1 or the 26.2, I hate when people say it's only 26 miles. No, it's the 0.2. That'll get you over the hurdle. So, hope that helps you guys today. Thank you so much. Let me help you.
Hello? There we go.
There you go.
All right, so let's open it up to some Q&A, and then there's a couple things we'd like to give away at the end. So who has some questions for Kendra?
Did I put you guys to sleep? Yes, sir.
So if you were new, we spoke earlier, and I'm fairly new.
Right.
How would you implement all these things, especially like building relationships with the lenders and the attorneys and stuff like that? How would you go about that?
It's a great question. So I would start with the professionals that you use personally. So if you have somebody that does your taxes, I would go to your CPA and have a conversation. If you have somebody that manages your money, I would start there. Obviously, pick a lender in your marketplace. that takes great care of you. And then from there, to meet new people, I would join a Chamber of Commerce. I would join a YPN, Young Professional Networking Group. If you're newer to the industry, YPN is not young as in age, it's young as in industry. Okay, so there are YPN chapters all over the country, and the greatest thing about the YPN groups is they're all new to their industry. So they're not going to be somebody like one of these ladies who have a relationship that they've had for 10 or 15 years with someone, because they're new too. So you're going to find new attorneys, new financial planners, new insurance people, stuff like that. Look for your insurance guy. But the key to these relationships is having the meeting and the expectation. Hey, I need your help. It's not putting them on a list and then saying, well, God, they never call me or they never send me a lead. Well, how did they know that you needed that, right? So communication, expectation, but I would start with the people in your database or people in your phone. Like people always say when they're new, where do I start my database? Your cell phone. All of us have 100, 200, 500 people in your phone. That's your database. Start there and then grow it from there.
I think one of the best things you told me, this came from you, was 2 rules. If I sent them a lead or closed business, or I write them a check, like I have a landscape guy, I write him a check, he better know what I do.
That's right.
He better know how he can help me out. I think sometimes realtors, you guys underestimate how many people's pockets, like how much food you guys put on people's tables. You are the Mac Daddy of all referral sources. I mean, there's an insurance agent in here that eats because of you. There's a lender in here that eats because of you. There's an attorney, a real estate attorney, a title company, appraisers. Like, there's a lot of mouths you guys feed from your referrals. So ask for some of that back.
Absolutely.
Other questions?
Kendra, thank you for being here today. For those of you guys that don't know me, I'm Nick Leiber with Exit Realty. I'm a graduate of the Core Training Level 3 program. Like Chad, 4X my business. A lot of mine was more spending problems than anything else, but did increase my volume from 10 million a year when I entered the program to 24 million this year. So been really just always thankful to you and to the program. Some of the agents that I have here with me from Exit today are newer. You touched on database a little bit. For an agent with a healthy database that's maybe not been around as long as these some of us over at these tables, what would you think would be on average a healthy number of people in a database for a newer agent?
Yeah, perfect. So I would say a minimum of 100. You got to have 100 people to start. The ultimate goal is to get between 4 and 450. Because here's what I will tell you from tracking: 15% of everybody in your database will move or refer you every year. Okay, so we like 400 to 450. If we take that 15%, that's 60 deals guaranteed right off the top. So if you can start with 100, looking at 15, you can have 15 out of that database, then go to 200, then you're going to 30, and you grow it. But the ultimate thing about a database, where we get confused as realtors, is when we think database, we think just every lead, even if we don't have a phone number or an email address, just people just piling in. When we think of database, it's people who know, like, and trust you. Okay, so I want you to know my face. I want to know your face. The joke at our house is I know everybody's address. I don't know your name. So if I go into a restaurant, my husband and I are together, and I'm like, if the rule is if I haven't introduced him in the first 5 seconds, he's like, I'm Kendra's husband, Greg, and you are, because I'm like, they live at 123 BC Street, but I don't know their name. So I know everybody's address, not their name. But that's the 400 people. So you want those people to know, like, and trust you to where you can have a good relationship with them. Because remember, not only are you mailing them and you're calling them consistently and you're having client parties, you've got other things you have to do, like show houses and sell houses. So when you say, oh, I've got 2,000 or 10,000 people, you can't have a relationship with 2 or 10,000. Does that make sense?
So you think that number's 400
Yep.
to grow to? That's the ultimate goal.
Yep.
Excellent question, Nick. What else we got?
Let's go.
Mine's more not a question, but I think one thing that would be really helpful for everyone is if you could go through the dialogue on asking for a referral. Because I think, we're all supposed to be focused on our database and asking people that know, like, and care about us for things. I think that's a difficult conversation, I think, for a lot of people to have.
Yes, and I will tell you, let me preface at this. People don't refer you for 3 reasons. Okay? There's really 3 reasons you don't get referred. Number 1 is you don't ask. Okay? You don't ask. Number 2 is they don't know how, meaning that if you didn't know, almost 40% of Americans do not need a referral to eat. Think about that for a second. 40% of Americans don't need a referral. What do I mean by that? I mean, somebody else is driving the traffic there. The Amazon, the Uber, those kind of people don't do their own marketing. They're not relational. Somebody else is driving their business to them, okay? And then the third thing is we don't wow them through the experience, so why in the world do they want to refer their friends and family to us? Right? We're understaffed, we drop the ball, we forget to call them back, we don't respond quickly to a text, whatever the situation is, they're not wowed, okay? So what Stephanie is saying is in the core, we teach relationship selling, and so when you call through your database, we have a plan that we teach, you call through there twice a year, okay? And we lean on the concept of 4, family, occupation, recreation, dreams. So when you make those calls, you write those letters on the top of your paper so you don't get stuck. Because a lot of people say, I don't know what to say, I don't know, how do I keep the conversation going? Is it going to be awkward? So ask, hey, Stephanie, I'm just checking in. How's your family? We had this conversation last night. How are the kids? She told me about ball and things that were going on in her life. And how's work? And we talked about that. What are you guys doing for fun this summer? I was ribbing her and her husband about not having date night. That would be the recreation part of that. And so we were having a good time about that. And then, what else is going on? You still love your house. That's the dream part. And as you wrap up the conversation, I'm going to say to Steph, hey, Steph, is there anything else I can do to help you with your business right now? Do you need a referral? Anything I can do for you?
I mean, always.
Okay, what do you need? So if she is a homeowner and she needs a painter or a landscaper, I would connect her to one of my VIPs, okay? And then I would say, Steph, in return, my business thrives on referrals. So I'm always looking for somebody just like you, who do you know that may need my real estate professional services, or who do you know that needs to buy or sell real estate, right? And that's how I ask for the referral. Now, there's all kinds of closing skills. I can say, you know what, Steph, if you don't give me a referral, you're gonna suck in life. I mean, that's, it's not who I am, okay? It's more of, hey, I want to take care of her. So that's the find the need. Does she need anything from me? Then I fill the need. Then I can ask her for some help. Does that make sense? So a lot of it, the reason you don't get more referrals is because you don't ask. So make it be about staying in relationship with them. And if you're sitting in the room and you're like, I have not called my database in 10 years, how do I start? I got a plan for that too. So we need to talk about coaching. But there's a million ways to reconnect with people. And listen, we're all busy. If you say I got busy, life happened, I had a baby, something happened, I haven't called you, they're going to be like, okay, I accept your apology. You're going to go right back where you were. If they know, like, and trust you. Does that make sense?
I think that's awesome. I think we underestimate that everyone thinks to know how to look for a referral for us, and they don't, right? And that's been a big change for me. Excellent. Who else?
One more question.
One more question.
Okay, so I have a life balance
Yes.
question.
Yes.
I'm feeling definitely very overwhelmed in business right now, and I feel like stressed. The call comes in, I'm doing exactly what you did, where family sitting at the dinner table, I have to take this call. Do you set up times in the day where you will call, or what do you think is appropriate call back time or text back time?
Any expectation that you set is fine. So that's the key. So guys, here's what she's saying is, hey, I'm in that fear mode of every time the phone rings, I jump at it, I don't want to lose the opportunity. And we've all been there, right? We've all been there. But here's the thing, when you outbound prospect every single day, I'm planting seeds, and there's going to be the harvest season, and I'm going to go back to planting, but I plant every single day, right? And so I don't have that fear is if I don't grab that call the minute it comes in, they're going to go somewhere else. Because what my husband taught me 20 years ago was that was a deal you didn't have anyway. So why are you banking on money in the bank on a deal that you don't know is or isn't going to work out, right? So if I work my database, I plant my seeds, I bring a lot of value, they're going to come to me. The other thing is your website, your Facebook page, your cell phone should all give your work hours. I changed that probably 15 years ago when I got in the core. And it says, so my listing presentation and my buyer consultation says our work hours are 8:30 to 5:30, by appointment only on Saturday, and I'm closed on Sunday for faith and family. Now, I can make an exception to a Sunday, a referral comes in. Sure, I can work that. But when I just say I'm open 24/7, guess what? You're open 24/7. And to be quite honest with you, most of us that break that boundary for each other is us. The realtors in this room, we create that. Oh my God, my buyer needs this answer right now. I got to get hold of Stephanie. I got to call her at 9 o'clock at night. I got to. And then the minute Stephanie responds to your text or answers your call, my mind just said, every time I need Stephanie at 9 o'clock at night, she's going to answer her call or return her text. And the minute she doesn't, damn her. She doesn't want to sell no real estate. She's ignoring me because she's selling that house to Katie. We've all been there. there. Don't all up looking down. Look, y'all are looking down, but we've all done that, right? So when you break that cycle, right, and you say, yes, I'll answer at 9 o'clock, now you have to answer forever and ever at 9 o'clock. So just setting proper expectations. Like if you call my voicemail right now on my cell phone, it says, you know, hi, this is Kendra Cooke with a core training. I'm so sorry I missed your call. It's extremely important to me. If it's during normal business hours, call my assistant, blah, blah, blah. If it's after 6 p.m., I will be returning calls the next business day. I'm not coached. I still don't work after 6 o'clock, right? I didn't in real estate after I figured out how not to be a hot mess. But you can fix that. I did it wrong for 15 years, and then I got it right the last 15, just so you know. But listen, you just got to set better expectations. And we just do ourselves really a big disservice by not saying, hey, I work from here to here. It's just like what I said with the little episode we did. When you say I'll return calls after 7 p.m. the next business day, they'll leave you a voicemail, right? It's just like if you're out with a client and you know that you cannot answer your phone today because you are showing houses till 1 o'clock. Why not change your voicemail and say, I'm out with a client, I won't be returning calls till after 1 o'clock. Leave a voicemail, I'll call you back. Then I know when you're gonna call me back. But if I just say, hey, it's Kendra, sorry I missed your call, leave a message. Then if, in 30 minutes, if you haven't called me back, I'm calling you back. Hey, did you forget me? And you still don't call me back, and 30 minutes later, hey, and now I'm getting ticked off. Does that make sense? So listen, just guide them. Set those proper expectations, and you'll be amazed at how much more balance you will get. And then the second part of that question is, do you put it in your schedule? Yes, we teach all of our schedules, or all of our students to live on a time block schedule, but there are buffers in the morning for, we call them fires. In the South, everybody goes, what is that, a fire? The fires in the morning and the fires in the afternoon, but put those buffers in there, because I promise you, somebody's gonna run late, and you're gonna need that little buffer to get caught up, or to take care of an issue, or to return a call, or whatever. So put those in your schedule so you always know they're there.
Also, outbound calls, doing your theme day calls.
Theme day calls.
Prevents all the incoming.
That's true. So what she said was doing your theme day calls. The outbound calls will cut down a lot of those incoming calls. And what we do in the core is we tell you who to call every day, what to say, how to block that time in your schedule. So you're being that proactive versus reactive. Most of us are reactive, right? We shoot a text, hey, I'll call you later, and then later doesn't come, and then the client's wearing us out. If you just set that time aside and you make those calls, it cuts down a lot of that incoming stuff too.
I think the best tactic I got for it is I always found myself drawn to the phone when I got home, and it's disrespectful to my family, is I simply, once I hit the garage, the phone goes off, it goes in my passenger seat, and it's off, and I don't go to it until the end of the night, and I go and plug it in, and I don't look at it.
Well, and yeah, and you